All right, welcome in, everybody. Welcome to the Women's Wellness Network, and welcome to our guest today, Anne Marie. Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, Tammy. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
I'm great. Yes, it's a lovely day. It's trying to be sunny. It's middle of summer, and as I was mentioning before, it's a holiday here in Canada, so everybody's in the relaxed mode, right? So it feels cool, chill, right? All good, all
I,
good.
I love
So,
that.
how about you? How about you give us a little introduction of yourself and tell us where you are in the world?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, my name is Anne Pizarro, and I am located in Austin, Texas. And I have been here in Austin for probably 24 years. And I really love this city because it's got a very youthful entrepreneurship, creative, musician, vibration, and it is growing by leaps and bounds. So I initially started my journey as a registered nurse, and I worked in the hospital for over 16 years. And in the background, I just slowly built up my business, primarily doing Akashic record readings and channelings for people. And it came to a point where it became more lucrative for me to work as a reader than as a nurse.
Right.
And I realized that no matter what they were offering me in the hospital, whether it was free meal cards, free Starbucks tickets, extra pay, I just really enjoyed doing my business more. So I actually retired from nursing in 2016, and I do Akashic record readings. I teach people how to do the records. I also participate in a lot of different coaching containers, as well as launching my own coaching practice 2 years ago. And that is pretty much what I do. I kind of consider myself a multi-dimensional, multi-potentialite. That's a lot of multis
Hmm. Multi-potential light. Ooh, that's even hard to say, but I like it. That's very
Yeah,
good.
absolutely. I think it's a nice, more colorful way of saying ADHD in these time frames. There's very few business owners that I've met where they're like, I just do this one thing. It's like, oh, I do coaching and I do readings. I also am a creator, I'm an author, and I'm an entrepreneur. And I feel like being able to acknowledge those different passions may also reflect our human design type. So
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with human design, but it
A little
works
bit.
really well with my manifestor generator nature. I get a chance to try different things. And once I've tried it, then I can let go and
Hmm.
pivot to other things. But I got to tell you, Tammy, the record keepers were like, that's what you're here to do. And you're going to do this. So even when I've tried other businesses, they always find a way to pull me back when they're like, this is your assignment, stay focused. So,
Yeah, yes,
yeah.
I totally get that. That's beautiful. And I think it's really great that you've come out of like the nursing container. And because now you're helping people heal, but in a totally different way. And I think
Oh,
these are the
absolutely.
ways, right? We've forgotten these ways. We've put them to the side. They've been woo-woo or whatever people say about them in the past, right? But to
Sure.
bring back these what do you want to call them? I guess it's a modality,
Modality.
but
That
yeah, I think it's a
absolutely.
word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, they just to reintroduce people to them, for people to start understanding what that actually means and how it
Absolutely.
works. Yeah. So can you,
Normalizing it.
right, yes, that's exactly it. Because we've been, it's been taboo. Don't talk about that. Don't try that. Oh, if you're going to go do that, go do it in private. Don't let anybody know that you're doing it.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
the more that we can share, the more we can help each other heal. So, can you
Oh, I get it.
describe to us exactly about your Akashic, Akashic, Tammy, say it properly,
Yeah.
Akashic record work? How do you do that? What's involved?
Well, one of the beautiful things I love about the Akashic records is that once I tapped into this body of work, it it caused the distraction to try so many different things, and it narrowed the focus because really what we're working with is our soul's biographies. So we come into this plane in this incarnation where we create a certain curriculum, a soul's curriculum of what we're going to experience, whether it's relationships, jobs, health conditions, learning opportunities, really difficult challenges and crises, these are things that we sign up for. And we sign up for them because they're monumental and really important for our soul's evolution and our ability to know ourselves and understand what our assignment is on earth. So when we tap into the Akashic records, it gives us access to our soul's history, our soul's timeline, and it helps us to really understand why we're here, what is our purpose, what can we learn from our relationships, what can we learn from the biggest lessons, so that those become the things that we're able to talk about and share with the world. So I don't find things random. I find them often karmic in nature. We repeat certain patterns in order for us to choose a completely different outcome. And what makes the Akashic records so powerful is that I consider it Source's supercomputer.
Mm.
And since Source is the source of all, it needed a way to be able to know and understand itself through every single soul experiencing life on earth. And therefore, it created this database known as the Akashic Records. When we go back to, say, Vedic times, they often talked about in the very beginning, there were the things that were created like earth, air, ether, water, fire, and the Akasha. And the Akasha is really that space in between everything that's constantly observing and recording everything that's happening. So as a person, you have choices that you're making every single day. Should I drink water, or should I drink coffee, or should I drink soda, or should I drink juice? And what the records holds is a potential outcome for every choice that you make to a point. And then if you don't exercise those choices, then it's like they eventually fold down, and then you have that one choice, and then it branches even more with every single position, decision, and action that you make. So I call it often a way to understand our soul's biography, because our soul's biography is not done. We're still writing what can happen in our lives. We can still choose. And that means we get to influence what we get to put in our Akashic records, so that at the end of this incarnation, we can really look back at this experience to ask ourselves, did we resolve the soul contracts that we came down here to experience? Did we heal the lessons? Did we evolve and grow as a person? Did we contribute and impact the humanity or the people that we're assigned to? And in a way, because, life is so short here on earth, it makes us really focus instead of being distracted by so many shiny bling things that we could do, but we just don't really have the bandwidth or attention to take it all in. So what I love about the Akashic records and how it's really helped me in my wellness journey is it's helped me trust my intuition more. It's helped me make decisions faster. And when certain relationships are no longer beneficial, I can let them go without having to go into those old patterns of people pleasing. If, say, I'm on a wellness journey and I'm realizing this is what I need to focus on right now to help my body, then I try to let go of certain like ideologies to try to fit into some kind of box to say I'm healthy, when my body is actually saying, no, we need you to do this. We need you to eat this. So in a way, not only has it simplified and elevated my life, I feel like it's made me more childlike, not immature, but really open more to what spirit wants to show me and how I can respond to things, rather than always staying busy and creating and doing and creating and doing. It allows me to really cultivate the inner being, so that my soul's biography reflects, inner peace, joy, happiness, balance. And I feel like it's so beneficial for us to be able to know how to use this more, because it's about self-empowerment.
Yeah, it's such a powerful tool and a way to
Oh,
move forward. And I
yeah,
love
because
how you said about the reacting and, you know, not reacting, responding instead. That's,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Most people are in such a reactive state that they don't even realize that they're like on guard. They're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Mhm.
But when people get this awareness, especially in sessions that I do, and they hear this message like you're right on track with time. There's nothing blocking you from love. There's nothing blocking you from money. There's nothing blocking you from health. There are just certain decisions and choices you'll have to execute. But if you don't want to execute those decisions, those may be preventing you from reaching a higher state because you want to go this direction when the traffic is trying to go this way. You want to go down the much harder path, go off roading, but your vehicle isn't really made to off road,
Ouch. Yep.
right?
That's a really good analogy. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, your group is the Women's Wellness Network, and I just want to share with you that when I was younger, in my 20s and 30s, I was really stuck on these ideologies. I'm going to be vegetarian. I'm going to be raw foods. I'm going to cleanse and detox, and I felt really sick.
Uh,
I always felt like, oh, I gotta cleanse because I'm feeling bad, or I gotta clean up my diet because I'm feeling this. And at some point in my work with the record keepers, they were like, listen, your constitution and your blood type and your nature requires you to eat a certain way. It requires you to rest. It requires you to even have some alone time to process. It requires you to have time in nature. But if you try to eat raw or you try to only be plant based, you're actually missing some vital nutrients, amino acids, vitamins that your body actually needs. So, can you give us a chance to just try to eat this way? And at this stage in my life now, Tammy, in my 50s, I feel better now. And I feel healthier now than I ever did when I was trying to follow this cleanse, that diet, or this detox. I just kind of like let that go, let my guides and my body show me, honor my intuition, and focus on really just feeling good and happy.
yes, I could not agree with you more. I've myself, been through my own health journey and learning that for myself, learning that I, make the choices that I ask myself, why do I want that? What's that going to give me? What is, if it's what is it? I don't know, salty chips. Let's say that. Is it the crunchiness that I want? Is it the salt that I'm wanting? What is the thing that it's going to give me that I might be lacking? And then I can make a healthier choice, at least being aware. You can make healthier choices, I think. But yeah, as you say, right, it's everything is a choice, and having the awareness to make the correct choice for ourselves, not
Yes,
to please anybody else.
absolutely. Absolutely. Because nobody else is in your body, they're not in your perspective. Yet I've found that when I get those insights from my guides and record keepers around the big picture view, I just relax more and I worry less.
Yeah.
Worry less about factors I have zero control over, like economics, politics, travel, weather. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm not going to worry about whether it rains. But if I get this message from my guides, you might want to bring an umbrella today. It helps me to follow through when I get that guidance. And I bet you found yourself in these scenarios before where you're driving home and you're like, oh gosh, I'm almost out of gas and I got this thing tomorrow. Maybe I'll just push it off until tomorrow. And they're literally going, get it now, get it now. I know you're tired. I know you're hungry. I know you want to go home, but if you just get it now, spend that extra 10 extra minutes, you're going to thank yourself the following day when you're running late.
So true. So
Right?
true. Oh my goodness. Okay, you have to tell me. Take me back to young Anne Marie. Tell me, how did you get involved with this stuff? Where was the time that said, "Oh,
Yeah.
we want to work with you," and you've listened? Like, when was
Yeah.
that moment?
Well, I really started getting into spirituality in my early 20s. And I came in from a very strict Catholic based family. Nobody ever talked about intuition. Nobody even ever talked about feelings. It
Right.
was just follow what we tell you to do the good girl thing, get good grades, achieve, achieve, achieve. And while that was great, I kind of just felt like, why doesn't this feel enough for me? So I went the route of nursing. And in that period of time, I started to get into more natural living, right? That's usually the gateway drug. I'm going to buy natural deodorant. I'm going to buy natural shampoo. Uh-oh, I might start wearing all cotton or linen. Uh-oh, watch out. And that's
Right.
exactly what happened. I started to read certain books and start to learn more about this thing called intuition. Then I got involved in this relationship, and we eventually had a child together. And it was a really hard relationship. Like dynamically, it just, we kept missing.
Yeah.
And I didn't come from a family that divorced. So I was like, I don't want to be the one that does that. I don't want to be the one that does this. But I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, everything I'm trying to do is not working.
Right.
And I found myself in this natural herb store in Austin called the Herb Bar. And this is a place that sold teas and soaps. And see, this is what happens. You start off with deodorant. Next thing you know, you're going to make your own tea. And I just happened to be there. And I looked up at this bulletin board, and they had this sheet that said, learn about the Akashic records. And it was like something just hooked me. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but I need to see this. So I attended this talk. It opened the can of worms, the Pandora's
Right.
box, took the lid, however you want to call it. And that's when I decided I'm going to take that next step, and I'm going to get a reading. So I got a reading with this woman. She eventually became my mentor. And she knew nothing about me or my background. And so she started telling me about this story that happened while I lived in this country in Indonesia, in this little island called Bali. And I was part of this family. And my husband at that time did not want to become the next chief, even though his father was the previous chief and he came from a lineage of tribal leaders. He just didn't want to do that. And so he built a ship in the middle of the night. He built a boat, not just overnight, but he slowly built this boat. And then him and his friends just decided to leave one day. And they left me and our child behind with his family in Bali. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have been so pissed off at this person for lifetimes after lifetimes because of that. And what the record keepers revealed was, you made this agreement to bring this being, our daughter, into the world. But that's all you guys agreed to do. So no matter how many times you look at it from different perspectives, this relationship would have never worked out. Now, the fascinating thing about this story, Tammy, is that he was my husband. My husband at that time, when he was 15 years younger, him and his hippie parents had gone to see a shaman, and the shaman revealed to them this past life story of having lived in Bali, of him sailing away on a boat, of having left his family behind. I didn't know that. And it wasn't until I came back and I told him, listen, I just had this reading, my very, very first reading ever in my life. And this is what they told me. Isn't that weird? And then he sat me down and he goes, listen, I tell you something. And he gave me the other part of the puzzle piece. And we both looked at each other and we were like, this is just never going to work, is it?
Wow.
And
Eh?
so that awareness, instead of falling into these old pattern that most people who go through divorce do, which is fighting and a lot of pain and vitriol thrown at each other, we went through this process of conscious uncoupling, this
Mm.
awareness of, okay, we came together, we had a soul contract. The soul contract was to bring this child in. And when we came to the awareness that we were complete, we would separate and we would both part and continue with our lives. And it was actually the most peaceful separation ever. And you would have thought when we were at the place to finalize our divorce, you would have thought we were getting married. because we were like hugging each other. We were like talking about all the good times. And I was like, this is weird AF. This is really, really, really weird. But it gave me that healing and the courage to know that I resolved that contract and I could take that anger and finally turn it into forgiveness because we were just done. So that really sparked off my journey in learning the Akashic records. And then I dove into the training. And in 2009, I went to Egypt with a sound practitioner who I was getting trained with. And that was when it got all blown wide open. I was in the temple of Sekhmet, which is the goddess of war. And she like pushed me against the wall and she was like, what are you doing here? Are you playing, little girl? And I'm like, oh, I just started crying. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh my word. I totally got chills when you told me that you went in that temple. And yeah, wow.
Because, you know, when you go to a place like Egypt, especially if you've had lifetimes in Egypt or you've served and done life in this type of work, it activates your cellular memory. It activates your soul memory. And I was like, oh, we're back again. Okay, tell me the work, show me the path, let me know what I'm here to do. And then they showed me, and I was like, that's a lot of work. Where's the beach here? I don't see much chilling on the beach with my pina colada. And they're like, that only happens like once every 3 or 4 years. And I was like, ah, awesome, thanks. They're like, but you get to design a life like no other. You get to play at a very, very high level like no other. And you get to come back during a time when women are going to be shifting the storyline in such a significant way. And you've got a little part to contribute. Can you handle that? And I was like, well, I guess you don't really give me much of a choice, do you? They were like, oh, it's all choice. You can either do this and then be plentifully abundant, or you can ignore it and you can work your ass off. It's really up to you.
Ugh, right?
That's how they presented it.
Wonderful. There's not, well, that wasn't a light touch on the shoulder. That was more of a, right? Slam you against the wall, shake you
It
up a little bit.
really was. It was a slam me against the wall, like shaken baby syndrome.
Oh my word. Yeah, right? Like wake up, baby.
It was a wake up. And that's when I realized I was like, oh, this is it. This is why I chose to come back. And that trip to Egypt changed me so much. And it really gave me the courage to believe in myself and have the confidence to serve others and serve at a level that's very different than the traditional route that many people go into service, like the nursing route or the therapy route or the mother route. You know, when you enter into these new fields as a channel coach, that coach wasn't even a big word at that time. And
Right,
so when you enter into that spirit support system, it's a stretch. And I was really, really glad that they gave me time to stretch into it because I also needed to learn how to run a business.
right.
And that's the thing that I am so grateful for, because there's many holistic practitioners I've met throughout the years that are phenomenal as practitioners, but they just lack the confidence or the mentality on how to run a business like a business.
Right,
So that was the training that I needed because I didn't go to business school.
right.
I had to learn on the go as I was going. And I'm so grateful for it because it also evolved my relationship, my soul contract around money.
Mm,
And that's a huge topic that I think for women, we're here to
absolutely.
evolve our relationship with money because at the core of money, it's about how we receive, right?
Mhm. Yeah, you think about, we've been, I don't like to use the word oppressed, but in some mannerisms, we have been, um, you know, be the good wife, be the dutiful daughter, do the things, take the job, do the work, clean the house. And there was not permission, let's say, for us to step outside of the box of our
Absolutely.
existence. And yeah, being brave enough to say, okay, I'm going to do it. and I'm not going to stop until I get it done because that
Yeah,
sometimes is the hard part, right? It's easy
sure.
sometimes to, ooh,
To
it's getting scary,
finish.
it's getting difficult, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that I see so many women that really want to make a business happen, but there's this element around the comfort and security of a job. And
Yeah,
so they'll often stay in the job a lot longer because their business may not get to a place of sustainability. And what I want to share for a lot of women is it takes time to build up to sustainable security. It took me years and years. And that's why I didn't leave my job as a nurse, but it also required that leap of faith that once
hmm,
my business did get to a place where it could bring in a regular revenue, I could then trust it to then take care of me. And once I left nursing, Tammy, oh my gosh, I haven't gone back. I have
yeah,
not, and I'm so grateful because at the time when I was in nursing, I could start to see the writing on the wall. I was like, wait a minute, I'm here for West Nile. I'm here for COVID SARS 1. I'm here for avian flu. I'm seeing the writing on the wall. It
right,
doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at the trajectory of human history and realize every 400 to 800 years or so, there's some kind of a plague that does something, usually to either deal with population control or it's just a factor of human civilization where these things happen. I could see it plainly. And I was like, oh, they're preparing me. They're
right,
preparing me to be able to get out before it gets bad. And I was so grateful that I had the time to build up my business because when COVID hit, I was primed and ready to support, to start teaching, to really start showing people this is how you can create a successful Akashic Records business and serve the world and be so busy that it's enough to sustain you.
right. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, right? Like teaching other
Oh, I'm
women,
so
right?
great.
You're your own testament. You've come through it,
Oh,
and here you are
absolutely.
sitting here,
Because I
right?
was also the biggest doubter. I was like, oh my God, this work can't. No way. There's no way using your intuition and channeling for people. That's like dark art stuff. And they were like, that's a story. You ready
Right,
to get that story? And I'm like, okay, I'll let go. And, I think that it's so important for us as women to be able to shine that light for the future generation to show them what's possible because we've chosen to walk the hard path, the hard lesson, figuring it out. And so when I train readers, I like do the hack. I close the time gap to show them, listen, it doesn't require you 10, 15 years to start and get sustainable. But what it does require is for you to be consistent, for you to be committed, and it requires you to show up and run your practice like a business. So that
right,
means putting out offers and being willing to receive the payments, or else what happens is it's going to trigger this element that I think runs in women, which is I just have to give my gift.
mm, yeah.
I have to serve
That's
everyone.
a that's a pandemic in itself, I think.
For sure. And I've gotten called out for being more exclusive as I've gotten more in my business, as I've gotten busier. I said, no, 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 no. My job, I'm inclusive as a human being. I will
Right,
accept, appreciate, and love every single person. But when it comes to work, I can't be inclusive of everyone. I
right,
just don't even have the bandwidth or time. So I let the market determine when it's time to change my prices, offer something new, or do something as a pivot because it's what it's showing me.
right.
There have been years that I've been 6 to 8 months booked, and I would have clients tell me, hey, if you offered, say, a VIP level that was a little bit more expensive, but gave you sooner access to you, I'd pay it. And often
Mm,
I would, in disbelief, I'd be like, you would? What? And then it was those people that often told me this is how to level up. Because when you're in it, you often can't see what needs to shift because you're just doing the work. You're just doing the work.
totally.
right?
Yes, totally.
Yeah, that's what those earth angels are there for. They're there to show
Mhm.
us, hey, lift your head up, look at what you're doing. There's something you can do to up level, work less, get paid more, and actually have more of this thing called time.
Right? To live the life that we want to live.
Yeah, absolutely. Because honestly, Tammy, I came down here to experience freedom,
Yeah, right. I
you
believe
know?
that too. Yeah,
And if we want to talk about numbers, it's only been like what, 50 plus years since women have been able to have a credit card, have their own bank account, buy a
right,
house.
right,
Look at what we've done in 50 plus years. That has been like astronomical. There's more women in business, in government, in education, in science than ever before. And this is not in any way, shape, or form to knock on men, demasculate men, because
right. Of
I
course.
love men, think they have an
Yeah.
important purpose. It's also an important time for us as women to step into our purpose
Mhm.
and start to evolve from that box that we talked about earlier, right? Like what do
Yeah,
you do once you've checked off the box and you've met the criteria, you've achieved all that? What else do you want to do? What else can you be,
right,
right?
right. Yeah, the world is our oyster, and we should learn how to start discovering, you know, let's open
Yeah,
it up and see what's in there. So if a
absolutely.
woman would like to work with you, how can they do that? How can they find you?
Well, my business is called Body Energy Connection, and you can go to bodyenergyconnection.com, and there's actually a spectrum of how you can work with me. I when I talked about the whole am I inclusive of everyone, and I realized that as my prices rose, not everyone would be able to afford what I offered. So if you are just needing a monthly support, I have this membership called Akashic Soul Clinic, where I will send you an audio recording of 3 questions per month. I also do individual one-to-one sessions, as well as more elevated VIP and even coaching sessions. So I'm getting ready to launch my training program in September, Become an Akashic Records Guide. And it's a phenomenal training that really takes you from learning how to work with your own records, how to actually get out of spiritual ego. Because
Mm,
spiritual ego, Tammy, is the thing that causes people to think they're channeling, but they're actually just giving advice. And
right,
there's a whole different way you can tell the difference between somebody just going, I think you should do that, versus them receiving a channeled message and how they offer that language to give somebody the ability to be in choice and power around a message. Right. So
right.
I'm teaching my program, Becoming Akashic Records Guide, in September. And I also run a Facebook group called the Akasha Collective, which is really focused more on expanding the knowledge of the Akashic records and really giving people a chance to also be featured as readers, as well as to share their knowledge as well of what their experience in the Akashic records is.
Oh, that sounds amazing. That sounds great. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm sure there's got to be,
Multi-professional.
yeah, right. How that's very fun. And that you're offering, there's a way to people for them to learn for themselves, to be able to, not just for themselves, but be able to also assist
Offer it
other
to
people.
others. Yeah,
Yeah,
and to
that's
make
amazing.
a business at it. That was actually when I started to leave nursing, the record keepers were very clear about my assignment on earth. And I was
Mm.
like, I have an assignment. They were like, well, you just thought you came here for the pleasure and the snacks. I was like, oh, I love snacks. And they were like, yes, we know that. But you're actually here for a much bigger purpose. And they showed me that my assignment was to train a certain number of channels and readers, because they were like, there's just not enough. There's not enough
Right,
practitioners, healers, channels, readers to really support all the problems that the people have and all the questions that they need answered, because we're going to be going through a big stretch in humanity. We're seeing it right now with the advent of AI, and
yeah,
how you're going to see certain businesses really skyrocket, and then you're going to see people really struggle just to make it in what may
right,
feel like a really saturated field. So they're going to have questions, they're going to need answers that go beyond, say, a healthcare physician, answers that go beyond just a psychologist or psychotherapist, dealing with mental wellness. When you understand that your soul has certain things it's here to learn, then you can work with your entire holistic team to be able to get on board with all the things that you need to do to function as a well-rounded human.
Totally. Yes, totally. That is totally it, right? It's like we are whole, but we're missing some of those electrical. I always think of it like those plasma balls,
Yes.
right? Like that. I think of it. We're in the middle, and you know we can
Yes.
connect to all these
Absolutely.
places, but sometimes we're missing that thing, and we need
Absolutely.
somebody to plug in that little piece. So it
And
seems
that's
to
the
me like
value.
you're a piece plugger.
Exactly. That's the value of the Akashic Records because they'll tell you, oh, this is something you can handle, or this is something that you need somebody who's an expert in. That's their specialty in to help you. So in my life, I work with coaches, I work with my nutritionist, I work with medical doctors, I work with acupuncturists, I work with, people to help me. I get massages. I don't just rely on this one tool to give me all the answers for everything. Because this is the part where people are thinking, well, if this holds the entire body of knowledge of source, why don't I just have access to all of it? And the truth of
Ah,
the matter is that we just can't even handle. It's like we go into choice paralysis. Like, have you ever gone into a restaurant and you're hungry, but then you look at the menu and you're like, it all looks good.
that's me.
Right. So then you start to narrow down which ones really look better than others. And then you find out, well, you know what? I'm in this restaurant, so I'm going to go ahead and order the bread, which was made by the baker, or I'm going to order this, which was made by the chef. So it's like the records offer us the choices for how we can really make the most of this incarnation so that we can enjoy it. That's the thing, is a
Right.
lot of people feel like they're punished to come back here. And I'm like, if you were punished to come back here, you wouldn't have ever evolved in a body that was wired for pleasure.
Right? Isn't that the truth?
I mean,
Yeah,
come
so
on.
true.
You talked about salty. I'm down with salty. And when I have a sweet tooth, I'll give myself a little treat for the sweet tooth. I love to go see concerts. I love to be in nature. I love to be able to be affectionate. Those are all the things that wire us to experience pleasure because source in us, the being that's having this human experience, is all like recording this in its records around what it likes, what it doesn't like, what it's helping, what's not helping. And it's so fascinating when you get a chance to like tap into that inner being. It's a very simple state. It's a very, very simple state. We actually make things much harder on ourselves, don't we?
Oh
Right?
yeah. Oh
Voice
yeah.
paralysis.
Yes,
So
it's very true. Oh my goodness. I guess I mean really, we have the knowledge. We are smart enough. Our brains have capacity for all of these things. It's just
yeah,
sometimes just allowing and if we discover something new, being open to it and
totally.
not just saying, oh, that's not for me. How do you know if you haven't tried it? So I'm
Right.
hoping that a lot of people come and try your course because I think that's super cool.
I hope
We
so
will
too.
definitely we're going to put some links to that. So, Women of the Women's Wellness Network, we will put all of the contact information for Anne Marie into the comments so that you can connect with her, reach out,
Yeah.
find out some more about what she's doing, maybe join her Facebook group. Like, awesome
Yeah.
things. This is the way the world's going, and it's nice.
Absolutely.
It's lovely to have these choices.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to be offering a free 3 video series to help people understand the whole purpose of their soul's biography, to help them understand why they have soul karma, why they have lessons, why there are these patterns, and really the power of choice. So
Yes.
before anybody even takes that course, I would just invite them to come and join me on that free 3 video series because it'll be really, really fun. People are gonna walk away with a greater awareness of how they can actually impact their own lives and start listening to the inner guidance that they're always exposed to every single day,
Every second.
every second. That's why
So
I'm really
true.
glad I took that message when they said, follow up with Tammy, sign up, have this conversation with her. It can only lead to good things. And I went, okay, didn't
Right?
even double, right?
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming today. And I really appreciate everything that you've shared. Very knowledgeable. And
Ah,
yeah, you kind of made it easy for people, I think, to understand what it's about. So thank you very much for that.
you're
And
welcome.
is there anything else, any last words you'd like to say before you run away?
No, honestly, this is the last thing I want to share because I want to talk about AI for just a moment. We talk about the Akashic records as sources database for being able to know itself.
Mhm.
I look at artificial intelligence and I'm like, whoa, wow, this is like the Akashic records in form.
Right.
This is
Mhm.
its form now in this timing for us to be able to start utilizing the access of the internet to gather information for us to create, to, elevate, to do whatever. And I encourage people not to be afraid of it.
Right.
I
Yeah.
encourage you to be afraid of it. I invite you to stay curious and I invite you to stay open to the guidance that your guides are showing you every single day because this is a life that is meant to be magical. So go make it magical.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, let's go make some magic, shall we?
let's do it, friend.
Awesome. Very nice. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you everybody for watching. And until next time, of course, be well.
Take care.